And welcome back. We're going to review workers' compensation. This is for Business 506 at California Lutheran University. Objectives. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to describe workers' compensation and employer's liability insurance. Workers' compensation. Workers are largely excluded under other liability policies, yet the exposures are significant for most employers. Millions of workers become sick or injured each year due to job-related accidents. In addition to the pain and suffering, injured workers must also cope with loss of earnings, medical bills, potential loss of bodily function, and even job separation. Workers' compensation is a social insurance program that provides medical care, cash benefits, and rehabilitation services to workers who are injured or disabled due to job-related accidents or disease. Workers' compensation benefits are provided under compulsory state law. Employers can choose to purchase coverage from monopolistic state funds, purchase coverage from insurers, or to self-insure. Some characteristics. Worker benefits for on-the-job disability or medical expenses or job-related illness, accidents, injury, occupational disease. Dependent benefits when worker killed on the job. Employee payment is fixed, not subject to litigation, so those amounts are set by statute. And the benefit is usually received until the physician determines that the worker can return to work. Now, employer liability insurance is a traditional form of liability insurance that protects employers from suits arising out of injuries to employees. Suits can arise out of any of the following. The employee is not covered under workers' compensation insurance. The spouse of an injured employee sues for loss of service. An employee sues an employer in a capacity other than as an employee. Now, insuring agreements. The typical workers' compensation and employer's liability coverage contain three insuring agreements. Part 1, workers' compensation insurance. Part 2, employer's liability. Part 3, other states' insurance. So on workers' compensation insurance, there are usually 7 types of benefits payable to an injured worker or their dependents under workers' compensation insurance. We have medical expenses, payments for total temporary disability. So again, you're just wiped out, you can't do any function temporarily. Partial temporary disability, you break your wrist on the job and you can no longer use a keyboard for 6 weeks, but you can do other things. Total permanent disability, well, again, that would be you're never returning back to work. Partial permanent, you lose an arm in a machine operation, but there are other functions that you can do. That would be a partial permanent disability. Survivor's death benefits and rehabilitation benefits. Now, coverage or employer's liability insurance. Coverage under Part 2 generally takes the form of payment of damages and defense costs. The coverage can also contain various limits of liability and exclusions, such as contractual liability, punitive damages, damages resulting from known violations of law, damages arising out of employment practices, and impose fines for violations of law. So on workers' compensation, tax consequences. For the employer, the premiums are tax deductible as a business expense. To the employee, the benefits are received tax-free, and compensation received for on-the-job injuries are not taxed. So to summarize up, we've had a chance to review workers' compensation and employer's liability. Thank you for your time.